Okay, I want you to picture a scenario. It's one you probably know intimately. You've just come back from a vacation. Maybe a legit 2 weeks off. Maybe just a long weekend where you actually managed to ignore your phone. You're feeling good. A little sunburned, maybe, but mentally clear. You open your laptop, coffee in hand, ready to, ease back in.
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
And there it is, the monster. One single email thread. Subject line, project update.
Mm-hmm.
And next to it, in those terrifying little parentheses, the number 45.
The 45 reply thread, yes. The absolute destroyer of morning productivity.
It is the absolute worst. You click on it, and it's just carnage. Bob is arguing with Alice. Someone from legal chimed in 3 days ago, but nobody listened. Someone else is playing devil's advocate just to hear themselves type. You scroll to the bottom, desperate for a conclusion, and you realize
There isn't one.
there's nothing.
Yes.
It's just noise.
It's noise, but it's expensive noise. And that's the part we often forget. We treat email like it's just, part of the job. But looking at the research we have today, specifically that data from the Harvard Business Review, it's actually one of the single biggest inefficiencies in the modern economy.
I saw that stat. They claim managing email consumes up to, 28% of the average workday?
28%.
And honestly, my first reaction was, that seems low. On a bad week, it feels like 50, maybe 60%.
It certainly feels that way. But even at 28%, just think about the math on that. If you work a 40-year career, you're spending more than a full decade of your life just clearing your inbox.
Wow.
You aren't building anything. You aren't selling anything. You aren't leading anyone. You're just
Right.
moving digital paper from one pile to another.
That is deeply depressing. A decade of my life lost to reply all. But that sets the stage perfectly for why we're talking about this today. We aren't just here to give you email tips. We're looking at Google's generative AI, Gemini, and its integration into Gmail. I have to admit, I'm usually pretty skeptical when big tech companies say they're going to fix email. It usually just means a new button that I never end up clicking.
I'm right there with you on the skepticism. We've seen smart inboxes and priority sorting for years, and we still have the chaos. But the source material we're diving into today, Taming Chaos, the art of invisible productivity, it suggests this is different. It's not about sorting your mail. It's a fundamental shift in how we interact with information.
Invisible productivity. That's the phrase that really stuck out to me. It sounds cool, but what does it actually mean? And we're talking about a bot that just auto-replies thanks to everything? Because I don't need AI for that.
No, and that's the crucial distinction. We need to separate automation, which is just dumb repetition, from synthesis. The goal here isn't to just reply faster. It's to use these neural networks to act as an extension of your professional judgment. The claim is that this tool can reduce reading and synthesis time by 70%.
70%. If I can reclaim 70% of that lost decade we just talked about. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
But how?
Yeah.
What makes Gemini different from the search bar I already have in Gmail?
It really comes down to the difference between reading and understanding. The old tools, the search bar, the filters, they were just pattern matchers.
Right.
If you searched for Project Alpha, it found every single email with those words. It didn't know if the project was failing or succeeding or if it had been canceled. It just found the key word.
It's a dumb fetch quest.
Yeah, exactly. Gemini is built on large language models, LLMs. It doesn't just see the words, it processes the context, the relationships between the words. It's the difference between handing a stack of documents to a scanner versus handing them to a smart executive assistant. The scanner just copies it, the assistant reads it and says, hey, this part is important, you can ignore the rest.
Okay, so let's test this claim. The research breaks us down into what they call the trident of power.
Which is very dramatic naming.
I know, right? But it covers 3 areas: summarization, drafting, and scheduling. Let's start with that first time. Summarization, or as the article calls it, de-escalating the novel to a tweet.
And this brings us right back to your 45 email nightmare.
Please don't remind me. But seriously, how does the AI handle that differently than me just skimming? Because skimming is an art form. I'm pretty good at spotting the important paragraphs.
You might be good at it, but it still costs you something. And this is where we need to get into the cognitive science a little bit. The research references Sweller's theory of cognitive load.
I remember this vaguely. It's about working memory, right?
Spot on. Think of your brain like a computer with a very, very limited amount of RAM. You can only hold a few chunks of information in your head at any one time. When you open that 45 email thread, you're flooding your RAM. You're trying to track who said what, the timeline, the emotional tone, the technical details.
And by the time I get to the bottom, I'm exhausted. And I haven't even made a decision yet, but I feel tired.
Exactly. That's cognitive depletion. You've used up all your fuel just processing the data. Sweller's theory argues that if we can offload that processing to an external system, we free up the brain for the high-value work decision-making.
So the AIs is doing the heavy lifting of data sorting, so I can just do the final nod. But wait, how does it summarize? Is it just picking out random sentences? Because I've seen bad summaries before where it completely misses the whole point.
And that's the key difference between what's called extractive and abstractive summarization. Old AI was extractive. It would just hunt for a sentence that looked important and copy-paste it, which resulted in these robotic, kind of disjointed paragraphs. Gemini uses abstractive summarization. It reads the whole thing, builds a sort of mental model of the conversation, and then generates new sentences to describe it.
So it's telling me a story about the email thread.
Yes, in a way. It's saying, Alice raised a concern about the budget, Bob pushed back citing Q3 projections, and legal eventually decided to pause until Friday. It synthesizes the narrative.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, but here's where I get skeptical again. Nuance. Corporate emails are just. They're full of passive-aggressive subtext. As per my last email actually means you're an idiot.
Right.
Can an AI really catch that? Or am I going to get a summary that says everyone's happy when actually everyone is at war?
That is the big risk. And the source material actually addresses this with a pro tip that I think is essential. The advice is, don't be lazy with your prompt.
What do you mean by that?
Don't just click a button that says summarize. You have to treat the AI like a junior analyst. Give it specific instructions. You type, summarize the points of conflict and the decisions taken in this thread.
Ah, I see. So you force it to look for the friction.
Exactly. If you ask for points of conflict, the neural network specifically weights the semantic structures associated with disagreement. It turns a passive reading exercise into a strategic analysis. You aren't just asking what happened, you're asking where is the fight?
That is actually a game changer.
Yeah.
Where is the fight? That's the only thing I care about in those long threads. Okay, let's move to the second feature, drafting. The source calls this one the perfect ghostwriter.
And this addresses the blank canvas paralysis.
Oh, I live there. You know you need to write a proposal, you open a new doc, and you just stare at the blinking cursor for 20 minutes. You write a sentence, delete it. Write it again, delete it.
And that hesitation is usually because we're trying to structure the argument and choose the words at the same time. It's too much for the brain. Gemini lets you separate those tasks. You provide the mess, it provides the structure.
The notes mentioned something here that I frankly thought was a bit of a stretch. They started talking about Aristotelian rhetoric. Ethos, pathos, logos. I mean, come on. We're talking about an email bot, not some Greek philosopher.
It does sound a little pretentious, doesn't it? But stick with me on this. The AI isn't studying philosophy in a library, but think about how these models are trained. They're fed millions of the most successful, persuasive documents in human history, business proposals, speeches, essays.
Okay.
And it turns out the most successful persuasive writing tends to follow the structure Aristotle identified 2,000 years ago. You establish credibility, that's ethos. You appeal to emotion or pain points, pathos. And you use logic and facts, logos. The AI has learned that pattern mathematically. It knows that a good proposal usually starts with a credibility statement and follows with data. It's mimicking the architecture of persuasion.
So it's not thinking, I need to be persuasive. It's thinking, the most probable next word in a successful proposal follows this pattern.
Precisely. And that gives you a massive advantage. You can just throw in 3 bullet points, just raw facts, and the AI wraps them in that persuasive architecture. But, and this is a big but, you have to control the voice.
The persona feature. I saw this. You can tell it to sound like a Silicon Valley CEO or an old school consultant.
And that really matters. Context is everything. If you are emailing a hip startup about a partnership, you want punchy, visionary, maybe slightly aggressive language. If you're emailing a bank about compliance, you want dry, precise, cautious language.
Right. If I send the bank a visionary, punchy email, they'll think I'm insane.
Exactly. And most of us aren't professional writers who can just switch voices instantly. The AI lets you put on a mask. It lets you code switch without having to stress over every single adjective.
It's like having a PR team in your pocket. Hey, draft this for the engineers versus, okay, now draft this for the investors. Same facts, totally different wrapper.
Right. And again, it saves your brain from having to do all that translation work.
Okay, let's do the third feature. This one feels less like art and more like just pain relief.
Yeah.
Scheduling.
A ping pong game.
Ugh. I can do 5. No, I can't do 5. How about 3? Tuesday is bad. Let's circle back. I hate it. I hate it so much.
It is the single biggest waste of time in the corporate world. The source material refers to this as transactional friction.
Transactional friction. Okay, break that down.
It's a concept from behavioral economics. Basically, every barrier you put in front of a transaction makes it less likely to happen. If I have to check my calendar, then switch tabs to email, then type it all out, that's friction.
Yeah.
If I have to wait for your reply, that's more friction.
So how does Gemini solve it? Because calendar links, Calendly and things like that, they've been around for a while.
True. But those can sometimes feel a bit impersonal, like, here, click my link and serve yourself. Gemini does something a little smoother. Because it has read access to your Google Calendar, it can draft the email and say, I'm available Tuesday at 2, Wednesday at 4, or Friday at 9, and it inserts those slots directly into the body of the text.
Oh, so it looks like I wrote it.
Yes, it feels personal, but it was generated instantly. And by presenting a menu of options right there in the email, you drastically lower the cognitive load for the recipient. They don't have to click a link, check a web page. They just hit reply and say, Tuesday works.
You make it easy for them to say yes.
That is the golden rule of sales and negotiation. Make yes the path of least resistance.
Okay, so we've got summarization to save our RAM, drafting to use Aristotle's ghost, and scheduling to kill the friction. It all sounds like a dream. But we are the deep dive, and we don't just drink the Kool-Aid. We need to talk about the reality of this.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, if I start using this tomorrow, something is going to go wrong. I'm going to send something stupid.
You are, if you aren't careful. The source material lays out 3 specific challenges for the audience to test this. Think of this as your war room strategy for tomorrow morning.
Okay, lay it on me. I open my laptop. I'm ready to try. What's the first test?
Challenge number 1 is the summary audit. Do not start with an easy email. Find that 45 reply monster we talked about. The one you've been avoiding.
The scary one?
The scary one. Ask Gemini to summarize it with that specific prompt. Identify the conflicts and decisions. But then, and this is the crucial part, you have to actually read the thread yourself.
So I have to grade its homework.
You have to audit it. Did it understand that when the project manager said, we'll see, they actually meant no? Did it catch the sarcasm? If it didn't, you know the limits. You learn where you can trust it and where you can't.
That's good advice. Don't trust it blindly until you've verified it can handle the nuance of your specific team. Okay, what's the second challenge?
Challenge 2 is the skeleton proposal. Take a complex email you need to write. Don't write sentences, just write 3 bullet points. Raw facts.
Yeah.
Then ask the AI to draft it, maybe applying a specific persona like professional but urgent.
And see if the output is actually usable.
See if it captures the intent without you having to do all the typing. This tests the efficiency. If you spend 20 minutes fixing the AI's draft, then the tool has failed. It needs to be faster than you.
Right. If I'm rewriting the whole thing, I might as well have written it myself. And that leads to the third challenge, which I think is the most personal one, the voice check.
This is the danger zone, the uncanny valley of text.
Yeah. If I suddenly start sending emails using words like synergistic paradigm shift or hitherto, my team is going to know I've been replaced by a pod person.
It erodes trust immediately. Authenticity is your most valuable currency as a leader. If people think a bot is talking to them, they stop listening. So the challenge is this. Read the draft aloud. Does it sound like you? If there is a word in there you would never say in a bar or in a meeting, delete it.
That's a great rule of thumb. If I wouldn't say it to your face, I shouldn't let the bot say it in an email.
Exactly. The AI is the drafter. You are the editor. Never abdicate the editor role.
So if we zoom out from all this, what are we actually looking at here? We started with the HBR stat about the 28% of our day lost to email. If I actually do all this, if I tame the chaos, what happens?
This is where the discussion shifts from information management to intention management.
I like that distinction. Break it down.
For the last 20 years, we've all been information managers. We move files, we sort rows, we tag things. We are doing the mechanical work of the machine. We are the librarians of the chaos.
We're the janitors of the internet.
A bit harsh, but yes. Intention management means you define the goal, get this project approved, calm this client down, and the AI handles the mechanics of the text. You supply the human intent, the machine supplies the data processing.
And the burnout aspect here is real too. I feel like we underestimate how exhausting all that low-level processing is.
The science is really clear on this. Burnout doesn't usually come from doing high-level creative work. It comes from the feeling of spinning your wheels. It comes from cognitive drudgery. If you can delegate that drudgery to Gemini, you aren't just saving time, you are saving your mental health.
It goes back to that analogy. Technology is the brush, but you are the artist.
Exactly. The AI doesn't decide for you, it clears the fog so you can see the landscape and decide better.
So here's the final thought I want to leave everyone with. Let's assume this works. Let's assume you get your 28% back. You reclaim that lost decade.
Which is the most precious gift, time.
The dangerous question is, what are you going to do with it? Because if you just use that extra time to answer more emails, you've completely missed the point.
That is the trap. Efficiency for efficiency's sake is just a hamster wheel. The challenge is to take that reclaimed cognitive load and apply it to something the AI can't do. Strategy, mentorship, creative problem solving, that novel you wanted to write.
Right. Don't let the vacuum fill up with more junk. You have to protect that space.
That is where the real work begins. The AI clears the desk. You have to decide what to build on it.
That is a terrifying and exciting thought. I think I need to go audit my inbox and see if I can find some time to actually think.
Good luck. And remember, check the tone.
Always check the tone. Thanks for walking us through this. And to everyone listening, stop drowning in the noise. Go tame the chaos. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.